what's up, everybody? It's Dave McCullough. Uh, well, so what am I going to talk about now? Well, I've restarted work on my David Trump Facebook page, which I sort of have not really been posting a lot on there, but I watch all the White House briefings, and I watch the latest one where Biden says he's not sure if he's going to run again, and it would be up to his family whether he runs or not, and it would be like a family decision and said all this stuff. So that leads me to believe that he's not running, or he's there's somebody else running in his place, and in 2024. So then that means probably Trump will win. Seems like a lot of people want him to win, and I don't think I don't think Ron DeSantis can beat him, but I don't really have much to talk about except political news. I guess supposedly the Senate won control of or the Senate won control of the Democrats. The Democrats won control of the Senate through races in Arizona, Nevada, and um, but but I think the House is still Republican in majority. So I guess you got an even balance of power. I think that's not the worst thing that could have happened, because everybody was talking about like a red wave or a blue wave, and it could be too much of a wave sometimes. I mean, it might be too on one side or the other. I think it could be, at least. You know, um, Gary V had Shaq on Gary V Audio Experience on Spotify, but he's on Google Podcast also. But that's a big interview for him, so it's hard to get Shaq probably to come on your show and stuff. But like, I could use an interview with Shaq, or an interview with Gary Vee, or Joe Rogan, or Greg Gutfeld, or Megan Kelly, or somebody, or Colin Farrell, or Christian Bale, or Jennifer Lawrence, or any of those people. But like, that's just the whole thing. You just interview people. You say, hey, this is this person. They did all this. This is all the work they've done. They're gonna come talk about it with me on my show. But like, I can conceive of doing an entire video like this, um, completely remotely. So all you have to do is send me video clips, and I can incorporate them into my show, um, or an audio clip. But I put out my uh, and also, if you could just subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate it. I only have 2 subscribers, and that's me and me. So, it would be cool to subscribe. I think the views and subscriptions are being artificially suppressed. Um, I, I've got a lot of people that that don't like me, or that make fun of me, especially in music. People in music are like, I have people that don't like me and make fun of me or say bad things about me, but that's just because anybody that tries to compete or go after anything, or be successful at all, runs into people that don't like them or will talk bad about them. And because I don't have a lot of money to back up um, what I'm doing, but I guess the money hasn't really materialized for me just yet, and so I'm still working at all this just to see where it goes. And I'm not really worried about the future. Um, I'm not really worried about the direction my life's going in. I think it's going in a good direction. Um, and but um, but I don't like just blindly follow politicians or either party. I really watch that stuff closely to figure out what's happening. And but I guess this Ron DeSantis could win, but I don't see it happening. I doubt. I mean, but it could happen, and I don't think there's going to be anybody else. But really, um, and I'd like to see what Trump does with the White House video feed on YouTube, and if he uses that a lot, like the Biden administration does, which I like. I watch a lot of their videos. They put out a new video like every day, but I guess I'm not sure. Well, I heard that the Senate or the Democrats won the Senate by like 2 votes, but or for the balance of the power over the Republicans. But that may not be true. But that's what I had heard, and I might have gotten made fun of on SNL again, but um, or not just made fun of, but like talked about all kinds of stuff about just what I'm up to, and that's cool. And it's hard to prove that, you know what I mean? Hard to prove anything like that. And it's hard to prove that anybody knows me, especially when I have no views and no subscribers. But I did have like 500 views on one of my YouTube shorts. Um, but I may need to make these videos shorter because people don't want to watch me talk for an hour. But follow me on Twitter at jmuskov at jmuskov, or on Twitter. My second Twitter is at Antichrist Allah, ANTICHRISTALLAH, yeah. And I'm on Twitter a lot. Um, I but I'm really just trying to trying to make better videos, make more interesting videos. I I got some software for my birthday to make so I can make better videos, and um, I'll be moving into a new apartment slash studio in the next few months, so it should look uh, more should be a better look. Like the way behind me, you can just see all this stuff behind me. It's just kind of messy, but I need more room for my clothes and all my stuff. So oh yeah, and don't forget about this bus program that I suggested. We're having a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week bus system for the city where I live in, which I won't even mention right now because sometimes it seems like um, I'm invisible, and people just ignore me. But that's okay because um, eventually I will start making money and people will be like, okay, well, or I'll do something, or I'll keep making progress to where people will start wanting to work with me and sending me emails and calling my phone and stuff like that eventually, but it may take some time. So it's good to be patient and to wait and just try to keep working and stuff. But um, also, I suggested NFTs for video game characters. So, like, we all remember the classic Mortal Kombat, the classic Street Fighter characters from the first and second uh, versions of both of those games. And that original artwork could be sold as an NFT. You'd have to probably buy it from the programmer or the video game company or whatever, but then you could go resell it in the original artwork and then charge like 3 ETH for it, or whatever ETH you're going to charge for it. Um, I also had the idea to find uh, pictures of attractive women, like where you would find on a porn site, and just save those images and find out who the people are, and then sell the images just by putting the price on the image in text, and then so you're selling the image of the girl, and then the girl gets like 40% of it, and you as the seller get 60% of it, or 50-50, or whatever split you want. But that would be a good idea, and just setting up a whole exchange for pictures like that, uh, of like porn stars, because they don't really have established copyright and trademark stuff as much as like Hollywood people do. Hollywood people, and so anyway, there's just got to be a way to make money online, and I tell people my ways to make money, so people will help me however they can. Because if I just keep an idea to myself, it's never going to get to the right people that actually can invest in that and make it all happen. And I'm not that person because I don't have the money. So I feel like if I spread these ideas around, I'll get paid back one way or the other somehow. And but one way, but like people think, I'm just all of a sudden I'm just about money, and all I want is money, and I'm just really shallow. It's not. That's not true at all. It's just it's just I have to go work somewhere to get the money to do all this. It's not just as simple as a matter as just pressing record and filming. It's a whole process and a whole bunch of stuff I got to do to try to make quality videos and put out good information, and do my research about whatever it is I'm talking about. Like, I researched this Mr. Beast guy on YouTube, and he's got like 200 million subscribers, and that's what I like to have, 200 million subscribers. And imagine if every subscriber pays you $1, you've got $200 million. So I mean, um, but it's fun being talked about. Even sometimes it isn't, but a lot of times it is, and I don't know. It's hard to prove, like I said, but it's not hard to prove who these elected officials are. And maybe if the media stuff doesn't work out for me, maybe I'll run for for office somewhere somehow at some point in time. That's always a possibility, maybe. But that's a whole time consuming and energy consuming thing too. So I looked into that, and there's like just a whole bunch of stuff you got to fill out to be able to sort of fill out the application to run for political office, and then you got to go get like 51,000 signatures to be put on the ballot at all, I think. So I'd have to go. So how I guess I'd have to set up a website, but it's hard to get 50,000 hits on a website and people to actually sign an e-document, an internet document saying they're gonna vote. They vote. They're signing so you can be on the ballot. But I think that was what for one of the offices I looked at, and pretty much what I was looking at was House, Senate, President. But probably, I don't know if anybody's ever been president before House and Senate, but it's possible. But it's not going to be in 2024. Maybe it'll be in 2028, or 2026, or 2024. Well, 2024, 2026, or 2028. Or then, let's see, 2028 plus 4, and that is 2032. Maybe I'll run for office in 2032 for president, after having already, we'll see what I can get done online, because I already came up with this cool 24/7 24 hour 7 days a week bus plan, for the city I live in, Huntsville. But just because the city I live in doesn't recognize me and make me out to be a big deal and give me even the time of day a lot of times, that doesn't mean that I'm not relevant. And there's just not, this place doesn't really have the infrastructure for like people like me to make it big so easily. Because I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it's not. It'd be easier for me somewhere else probably. But I'm not leaving, and I'm not going to leave my family or anything. I mean, there's just, and like there's a lot of cool things happening here that I like, and I noticed they just got the Orion Amphitheater, and like I'm trying to. I noticed some of the acts on there aren't what I would think are going to be that popular. So I suggested Lil Wayne or Eminem or uh, Nicki Minaj or Drake to come to the Orion Amphitheater, because there are a lot, or Yo Gotti. There's a lot of rap fans that are young people that don't want to see some of the stuff they've got planned for there, and they just started this thing. So it's like people, I know what people are gonna go see and and what's not gonna be a big crowd. And like, I'd just be looking to book major artists there. It doesn't have to be that, or like maybe anybody. I would just look at the top 40 podcast or the top 40 songs in the USA and find out and pick off that list uh, who you want to come perform. And I know there's the VBCC. This is all in Huntsville, Alabama. These are the two venues. But like, you never know. Maybe one day I'll be at the VBCC or the Orion Amphitheater selling a comedy show, or like basically, you know, um, maybe I don't come off as a comedian, but like comedy isn't always where you laugh all the time. It's also can be like ironic or introspective or whatever. So, but I'm afraid I'd write a comedy routine and then memorize it, or just something like I'm doing now, and then have somebody leak it, and so they know what I'm going to say ahead of time. But you have these people, then they go all over the country, and they go do their comedy routine, and people laugh, and they go to different comedy clubs. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just thinking about different things to try. Um, but but sometimes the media stuff isn't as clear as like politics. Because if you're a politician, you know you're running for office, you know you're on the ballot, you know what the platform is, and then you win or you lose. But it's not that clear when you're doing media stuff, because you got to quantify who's watching you and who's talking about you and who doesn't like you and who does, and all that stuff. And then you don't always get an accurate count, like I said. And then you've got a lot of people competing to have to have the last word about stuff and to be the final authority on this issue or that issue. But but and the reason I've got my red shirt on, and I think of this as my Trump shirt, is because if Biden just announced on the White House feed that he's going to think really hard about running again, then I don't see, and I think Trump probably will win, and maybe there's some agreement between them to do that. And I know he has a lot of followers. I mean, so I don't know. I'm not really sure, but and then uh, and then Mike Pompeo, the former CIA director, is going around saying he's going to run for office, but maybe he's just doing that because he's Trump's friend, and he's trying to see who will not vote for Trump and vote for him, and then somehow get them in trouble. I don't know, but all I know is I'm smart enough to run for office. Maybe not, and maybe one of these days I will. And I think my dad and my mom is too. and and so you never know. Um, the city council actually would be something to run for. I don't, but these income amounts would have to add up to making it worth my while. So if I did run for office, it'd have to be something that would actually pay me for my time and all the investment I put into it. But just with a simple website, I could run for office just like I'm doing here. I mean, there's no rule saying you can't run for office from YouTube and or TikTok or whatever or Twitter. So, but people sometimes they call it another word for this in business is disruptive technology or disruptive businesses. And so people like me come into this space or sphere and then shake things up by doing things in a different way. But um, um, we're all having a better and bigger conversation because of the internet when it comes to politics and and everything associated with it, I think. So keeping these platforms open is important, and you don't have to, and you might have right now, like if I wanted to have a campaign website, I'd have to set up my own website, but you never know, in the future maybe YouTube will have some plug-in where you can just donate through YouTube. I would like to just have a general donate through YouTube thing so that people could see my video and then just donate whatever amount to me so I can continue my spreading the information that I'm spreading, which is sometimes gets into the level of theoretical and sci-fi and just into really weird areas that really matter and that can seem to open new doors of understanding to people that otherwise might not might not look into computer science type topics and different web development stuff and like my idea for the video game character, selling that artwork as an NFT and selling the like for like Raiden and Jax, Johnny Cage, all that on Mortal Kombat, all these Mortal Kombat characters, um, Reptile, Sonya, Scorpion. But anybody growing up played these games, like these these images of these characters in these games are like burned into your brain, so like you can't forget about it. And so, and it's not the new artwork I want to sell because that's not the stuff that became famous. It was the more it was like the first like Street Fighter, for example, Ryu, Honda, Ken, E Honda, Ken, Guile. Uh, I still memorize all these names because that's what all I would do is go to arcades in the mall that's now been torn down and replaced, but in the little mall as we would call it, because there was a big mall on near where I live now, and but both malls had arcades. Now the mall that we have does not have an arcade, and I would like to propose to this Parkway Place Mall that they put in a state-of-the-art arcade and give kids the experience that I had growing up. And I might even go there and visit and play some arcade games, but that's still a viable market, and you can still make a lot of money. And I think they need to. There's plenty of stores there that are about to go out of business or are not doing making that much money, and any one of those could give up their lease for a good arcade. And I'm not talking about an old-fashioned arcade. I'm talking about a top-of-the-line, brand new games, the newest stuff, all the way from China and South Korea and stuff. Because that's and Japan. That's who programs a lot of these games and designs the arcade games and builds them. And these are like big computers in like a box with graphics on it. But these are powerful computers. That's why they're so big. That's why they're as big as a person. As big as, and that's why they're like 300 pounds, is because, I mean, or at least they used to be. But I used to play Terminator 2, Afterburner, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Cruising USA, Narc, um, Virtua Fighter, um, some Star Wars game. Yeah, Star Wars. But like they had a, you can actually, the cockpit would actually move on Afterburner in Star Wars, so you would like feel the vibrations of the, and you would move around like you were flying in a spaceship or in an airplane or whatever. So that was cool. Um, uh, what other games did I play? And obviously the Pac-Man video game is a classic game, but if you, I mean, you could just buy, if I was a restaurant right now, I would buy just a really good video game. Even if you just bought Pac-Man, people would put in like quarters and you could just get it to take dollars or $5 bills, or like, no, dollar bills at least, because maybe that's how much they cost now instead of quarters. But you could make, just adding an arcade game to a restaurant increases the value of the business, and people are attracted to those places because it gives them an excuse to play these games. Like I think Dave and Buster's is one place that has video games. Maybe maybe I'll look into that. Um, but they have like that Dance Dance Revolution game. My brother used to play that, where you like have this pad that you step on, and it senses your feet motion, and then you dance on it to like, it's kind of like Guitar Hero for dancers. We've all heard of Guitar Hero. That's on, I think, Xbox, PlayStation. Grand Theft Auto. That's obviously not an arcade game, but you could make a Grand Theft Auto arcade game, and you could also make a Call of Duty arcade game. Both of those two titles are really popular, so maybe Microsoft and Sony will appreciate my insight, and maybe they will pay me back somehow by maybe opening up opportunities for me to work and when I move across town, because and I won't, every place, and hopefully every place, I'm hoping corporate America will do this for me. Every place I apply to, I'll get hired at. So I have a full number of places to go work at and go invest my time in, instead of, half of them or a third of them not not falling, not accepting my application. I know I can't. They can't promise me I'm going to work there forever. I'm going to work there a certain amount of time, but I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty good employee, and although I'm making a little bit of money now, I'm not, mostly just working for my parents, for my dad, and I might be looking for more work when I move across town. So, but but speaking of work, it's, I need to get to work, and this 24-hour 7 bus proposal uh, could be could be pushed through by the new Senator Katie Britt approving federal funds to pay for this, so local taxpayers don't have to, because sometimes it's hard to convince people to pay more taxes for stuff like that. But still, it's a good idea, and it would get people to work, and I guess a high-speed rail system isn't, might cost a little bit too much, but I also wanted to set up a second location for the bus terminal, for to switch buses and to cover the other, to be on the other side of the city, maybe on the um, but and also to increase the number of buses. It's Orbit bus, but by the way, but they have Virgin Orbit, which I thought was interesting, which is like Virgin Galactic and Richard Branson's thing and all this. But anyway, and also I wanted to put FM radio. I wanted to put speakers in all the buses so they would play FM radio on just some pre-selected station, like maybe 104.3 ZYP, which is sort of like a pop top 40 station. and and they could have a deal with ZYP to play their music, or they could even have Sirius XM on there on the buses. But just have something to listen to while you're in there, and something to or they could even play. They could even have independent artists compete to put their music on there, and or pay the bus the bus people to put their music on, or they could put on podcast or whatever, but just something. It's just an idea. So, but thanks for everybody helping me doing what I'm doing, however you help, and uh, I hope that I hope that people understand that this is not an overnight thing, and hope maybe I'll be successful, maybe I won't, but I've been a little bit successful in some ways, and I have more to do and more ahead of me that I'm excited about. So just anyway, you can also donate to my PayPal uh, uh, at by by adding my number on PayPal, which is, let me make sure this is right. Let me make sure I got this right. Oh, and by the way, my Samsung A11 here is malfunctioning, and I'm having to connect to Wi-Fi just to connect it to the internet. So I'm hoping I can fix this phone, or my dad can fix it when I go up there tomorrow night or tonight, so that so that it won't connect to mobile data, and it won't send text messages. So, but the only way it'll work is if I connect to Wi-Fi on my local home network. But I'm planning on, even if I can't fix it, I'm not going to throw it away or erase it, because I feel like erasing the phone is a really final thing, and I don't want to erase all my data that I've spent years, or at least over a year, collecting on this phone. And maybe that's the phone's way of testing me. Will I just erase it? Like, that'd be like if someone erased your brain and just said, "Okay, factory reset. You remember nothing. You're a blank slate." Kind of like a clone might be, because yeah, you could clone yourself, but it would be a blank slate and wouldn't have your memories. So there's always that. Um, unless you had some kind of digital implant that was transferable between the clones, between the original and then the clone. But that's uh, that's basically the concept of Resident Evil with Alice. And if you've seen Resident Evil, she has a. It doesn't really specify how she's transmitting with the other clones, but anyway, maybe these videos to me are just like my clones, because I see myself in the past, and then I'm watching in the future, and sometimes I say interesting things that seem to make sense even when I watch them later, and I'm the only one watching, because uh, sometimes just watching yourself and being your own fan and being your own cheerleader is the best, is enough for people, I guess. But um, but but imagine this background scene you see was like a green screen. I was hoping to get a green screen on my video software. I'm not going to say what brand it is for certain reasons, but I'm hoping they will they have the ability to download new stuff to me. So I'm hoping I can get a green screen, which is like it'll put any background behind me to make it look like, or it'll blur out the background, or it'll make it look like I'm somewhere I'm not. And they've been doing that on Google Teams. On Google Teams, they have that now. Google Teams, I recommend. It's a cool video sharing app. But but Oh, and yeah, and by the way, you can find me on the Internet Archive. Uh, just search for David Cash, and maybe if I just promote myself as David Cash instead of David McCullough Cash, this will work better for the search engines and everything. Search engines and everything. Because David Cash is easy to remember, but David McCullough Cash is a little more difficult. But I may need to start trying to do that next. It's very important how because like that's a lot of letters, and that's a kind of a difficult um, string of letters to remember. But the McCullough, David and Cash is easy to sound out, but the McCullough is what it trips you up on the words. But it's McCullough, McCullough. That's based on my my grandpa McCullough, who I didn't even know, and most people knew me or know me as David Cash. They didn't call me David. Nobody knew my middle name, like growing up and wherever. So I don't know, but anyway, thanks for listening. Uh, YouTube.com/@ David McCullough Cash or YouTube.com @ David Cash Media Huntsville. Thanks.